And welcome back to my shop. It's Rob Summerlin again here from Woodsley Summercraft. Now today I'm making another bowl, and I've got another piece of what can only be described as super spalted wood from Steve Crawford from the Crawford Studios in Ivor, Virginia. I'll put a link down below. Go check out his website. Again, he has some spectacular wood available. I'll bring you in for a closer look at this and we'll get started. Okay, this wood is spalted. I think it's hackberry, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna consult Steve Crawford and see if he can remember what it was that he sold me, but I cannot remember. It was a square piece of wood. I have cut the corners off and I have saved them, and it's end grain, I believe. This is end grain here, so it's going to be a little bit different. There are a few cracks in it, so I'm going to CA fill them, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so now I'm just going to put some oil on this and sand it. I'm going to wet sand it all the way down to my finish. So applying this, applying oil will show up all my imperfections, all the tear out, and make sanding a lot less dusty. Hopefully it will start to make this grain pop as well. Let's see what we got here. Bring the speed down low and give it a bit of a power sand. I think you'll agree that's a pretty stunning figure in there. Okay, so I've just flattened off the bottom of this because I didn't have it quite right, so that it sits flat on a table, giving it a little bit of detail in the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is apply some more oil and then sand the entire piece down to where I want it. When you've got a piece of wood with this much figure in it, it doesn't require too much effort to make it look good. That's always helpful. So I will get this sanded down and turned around. Stunning piece of wood, absolutely stunning. Okay, so I've got this sanded down to 1500 grit, and what I'm going to do now is apply a whole bunch of layers of Danish oil, as much as it will soak up, and then wax it with paste wax and then I'll turn it around and finish the inside. This wood is absolutely stunning. The grain in this wood is beautiful. I'm actually pleasantly surprised because I thought that there was some cracks in it that were going to really show up, but it's actually a very stable piece of wood. Very happy with this. Okay, so I've now applied several coats of Danish oil to the backside of this bowl, and I'll bring you in for a closer look. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to denib that with some wire wool and some paste wax. Should bring up a nice shine and even off that finish. Okay, so I've got some tree wax and a little piece of wire wool. You don't want to wrap your fingers in wire wool when this is spinning. So if you choose to use this, that's entirely up to you. This is what I like to use. Just a small piece, and you put a little bit of wax on it, and then we'll spin that relatively fast speed and we'll denib this. I'm just at about 1200 RPM, and I'm just going to denib this now. And you can even do this by hand. Once you've denibbed it, you can hand buff it a little bit with the wire wool and some paste wax. Let that sit for 10 or 15 minutes, and then buff it to a shine with a piece of paper towel. Now, people suggest not to use wire wool because if you did get your fingers caught in it, it would be dangerous. So you have to be very careful if you choose to use wire wool. Also, small pieces of cloth. If you choose to use small pieces of cloth, it's the same situation. You could potentially get your fingers bound up in that when it's spinning. So that's why we use paper towels a lot, because they would rip before trapping your fingers. So now I'm going to let that sit for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to buff it to a shine with a paper towel. And that's my finish. Now again, it's not so glossy that it looks like it's been painted with varnish, and it's not dull either, which is a nice finish. So I'm going to get this turned around and we'll get the bowl hollowed out. Perfect, right there, I'm on center. So I'm going to face this off, and then I'm going to start hollowing up. Okay, so at this point I'm going to start sanding it. I'm going to apply some oil and sand it from 100 all the way down to 1500, and then we'll finish it with the Danish oil and the wax, the same as the outside. I'm not going to bore you with the sanding, but let's take a look what it looks like with some oil on it. I think that's going to be just beautiful. Now this one's not too thin, it's about 3/8, so I've gone down to about 3/8. So this one's a fairly thick bowl, but I think I like it this way. Alright, so I've got this bowl sanded down now to 1500 grit on the inside, just like the outside. And what I'm going to now do is apply as many coats of Danish oil as I can that it will soak up. And then once it starts to dimple a little bit, I will then do the same thing. I'll cut it back with a little bit of wire wool and paste wax. And we'll see what we come up with at the end. But it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of wood. So I'll come back to you with the finished product. But I think you'll agree there's some pretty amazing patterns in that wood. So thank you, Steve Crawford, for finding these gems down there in Virginia. Absolutely amazing. Okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes. And thanks again for watching this week. I had a lot of fun with this bowl. That was a spectacular piece of figured spalted oak from Steve Crawford. I'll put a link down below to Crawford Studios in Virginia, so you can head on over and check out the wood that he has available to purchase. Again, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Thanks now. Take care.